Alright guys, today let's talk about a medical career that I think is very times often overlooked. I completely forget about it most of the time until you either need one or someone says that this is what they do as a career. Something that, is underappreciated, but is oftentimes very needed. And what am I talking about here? I'm talking about being a sitter. Being a sitter, or as you folks up north call it, a sitter. Sitter? Yeah, sitter. Someone that sits with somebody. Man, y'all talk strange. A sitter. What is a sitter? Basically, what the title says it is. You just walk in a room or a place that the patient is and you sit with them. That's really what you do. You sit with them. I'm not even going to try to church it up. That's what you do. Locally, a sitter is not paid very much. You'll probably max out at about $8 an hour, to be completely honest with you, which isn't a whole lot of money, but really, I don't want to say it's not a whole lot of work, but it's not a lot of hard work, I'll say. I have been a sitter before, not as a career, but if the census was low and a sitter was needed, I would oftentimes say, hey, I'll do it. A lot of times it was when I was a CNA and I was in nursing school and I needed the time to study. And I would bring my books with me and I would sit there and I'd watch somebody and study at the same time. A sitter is, some people can call them like a safety associate, I think is what they call it. Or not a safety inspector, but basically someone who keeps the patient safe. A sitter sits there, they watch the patient, they make sure a couple different things. Either one, that they look okay, like they're not dying at that moment in time. And if they are dying in that moment in time, they hurry up and grab a nurse or, whoever their go-to person is, or they keep a patient safe from themselves. Typically, not always, but typically in a stroke setting or a neuro setting. A lot of the neurological patients have issues to where they may think they can get up, or they may think something in their hand is something else, and they may hit themselves with it, or hit you with it, or whatever it may be. A sitter is typically there to keep people kind of out of going into restraints. Restraining is, of course, the last possible step that you like to take. You don't like to restrain people. No one really likes to restrain people, but sometimes you have to. And if you have the ability, you always use a sitter first. And then sometimes you use restraints and a sitter. And, like I said, these people, the sitters typically go unnoticed, underappreciated, I'll say, because they are simply there to keep the patient safe. Sitters will do minimal tasks. We were told at the facility that I worked at that utilized sitters the most, we were told sitters do not touch the patients. So anything that patient needs that doesn't require them being touched is what the sitter will do. So get the TV remote, or change the TV channel, or notify someone that the patient needs something, a drink, food. They may need to go to the bathroom. Sitters are not supposed to take them to the bathroom. They are supposed to call for help. Patients may have various IVs. They may have, various fluids running, or a pain drip, something to that nature. And if a patient moves in a certain way, they may dislodge the cannulas or a PICC line or an AV or they may have a chest tube, something like that. A sitter has to keep their eyes on all of these things at all times, or at least make sure that the patient is safe from themselves or from, the apparatuses that they may or may not be hooked to. So this is why sitters are very good at being safety associates or advocates or whatever it is that other people call them. We just call them sitters. Now, like I said, sitters make about $8 an hour max where I work, or here locally. You're going to max out at about $8 an hour. That's not a lot of money. It's really not a lot of money. Sitting is great for people. Like I said, if our census was low and they said we're sending you home, I'd say, can I go sit somewhere? Sitters are good for people going to nursing school because you can sit and you can study oftentimes, because these people fall asleep or have to eat or something like that, and a sitter can study at that time. Also, you're going to be able to see a lot of things as a sitter. You're going to be able to see, like I said, the chest tubes, the pain patches, or pain lines, or AVs. You're going to see people treat or clean the PICC lines, whatever it may be. A sitter's going to typically see all that stuff. You're going to be in the room when these things are being done, so you can ask questions, learn. It's great. It's a great learning career or job, whatever you want to call it. I call it a career. A lot of people do it as a career. And so I would consider it a great asset to the nursing student. You should at least sit, once and just appreciate what they do. I've done it probably a dozen times. I definitely appreciate what the sitters do. I mean, it is, you think just sitting there and watching is easy. Nah, oftentimes that mess can get hard, just to keep yourself awake and also keep someone safe. If you have a combative patient or something like that, it can get quite difficult at times. So, on top of local hospitals hiring sitters, local nursing homes will hire sitters. I have even, true story, witnessed and seen, put eyes on a travel sitter. That's right, a travel sitter. I didn't think that would ever exist, but I have actually seen them, and I believe that this individual told me that they made more than I did. I was a CNA at the time, making pretty decent as a CNA because I'd been doing it for like 5 or 6 years. And I want to say they were somewhere north of $12 an hour here in North Carolina, which is, we're not a very big, paying out state. Looking your way, New York, y'all pay a lot of money. California, y'all pay a lot of money. So sitters in different areas of the country will probably make more. Here locally in my area, you're not going to make a lot of money, but you're going to be able to work. There's a lot of work in it. It's an underappreciated job. It's not a very manually hard job. Mentally, it may test you a little bit. It requires no certifications other than possibly a CPR that could be due to your company's policy. But it's easy to obtain. They're typically always hiring, and it's a good career. So, hope it helps. Appreciate your sitters, especially if they're good sitters. Thank you, sitters out there, or sitters, as you folks up north call them. Thank you much. Hope it helps.